I'm Ari Gronich, and this is Create a New Tomorrow podcast.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of The Excellent Life. We have a special guest. His name's Ari, and he's going to be showing us about how to uncover a mask and all the masks that we're wearing. So, Ari, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Ari Gronich. I'm known as the performance therapist. I really appreciate being here, by the way. So thank you very much for having me. I've been a sports and injury rehabilitation therapist for 26 years, functional medicine consultant, energy healer, corporate wellness consultant, and industry keynote speaker. So I've been in the industry of healing for a long time.
That's awesome. So, what made you get into that? Is there any specific thing in your childhood that got you into that?
Yeah. So growing up, I was started having symptoms of a brain tumor when I was 7, although we didn't find the tumor until I was 24. But until then, I had been treated, mistreated, diagnosed, misdiagnosed for, since I was 12 years old. And I was kind of considered a medical mystery. Here at the same time, my parents were doing Amway. So I had a garage full of herbs and LOC and Sweet Shot and Amway products. And so I got into herbs very early, herbology and alternative medicine, just as a fascinating study. So I was doing that while I was in high school. And when I was out of high school, I went on a whitewater rafting trip while I was taking a homeopathic remedy. Had a heat stroke, sunstroke, and allergic reaction. Sorry. to the homeopathic remedy. It was a snake venom.
Snake venom?
Yeah, that was the homeopathic remedy that the naturopath had given me. And I ended up basically dead in the hospital for 26 minutes before they brought me back. Went into anaphylactic shock. I was not breathing by the time I got to the hospital. And when I woke up about 3 days later in the hospital bed, I said, I think I need to be a healer. And that's kind of started the journey. So I was 18 years old, just out of high school. I had already learned herbology and aromatherapy and those kinds of things. But it was a direct path from there.
That's crazy. I think that's absolutely incredible, though. You're able to go through something and you really want to help people because of your your past experiences. So that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, the thing about tragedy is that it can do one of two things. It could stop you or it could propel you forward. And when you're born, and experience a lot of tragedy and trauma in your life, then I had a choice. I could either do something productive with my experience, or I could do something destructive with it. And my parents always had a saying when I was growing up: we want you to be a happy, healthy, productive member of society. That was their saying. Happy, healthy, productive. Well, I had been, abused, raped, molested, bullied growing up. Wasn't really going to be that happy. And I had this brain tumor thing that nobody can diagnose. So I wasn't going to be that healthy, but I could be productive. And if I could be productive, then I can make a difference. And if I can make a difference, then maybe I could gain some of the resources that I would need to gain back those happy, healthy parts. So.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's absolutely incredible to think about, because for me, one of my experiences that was kind of tragic was in 8th grade. I was really skinny kid, and I got hit by a car when I was walking home from an orchestra concert. And I felt that kind of fear that tragedy. And I thought, like, if my life ended that way, I would have regretted a lot of things. So I feel like after that moment, I definitely wanted to be able to be more productive in the way. Uh, and I wanted to find out how to make people's lives better. That I feel like that's one of the big driving factors for me to live, to create this podcast, The Excellent Life, to help people to live an excellent, happy, and blissful lifestyle. So I
Yeah,
thought
absolutely.
that was, I don't know, that's just what it reminded me of. But all of us has been through tragedies, and I feel like as well as with tragedies, it kind of shows more of who you are. It kind of really propels you in forward to
Yeah.
whatever
Well,
you want to do. Yeah.
yeah. Well, like we were, talking about in the introduction and,
Mhm.
and in our pre-conversation, we put on masks because of trauma.
Mhm.
And then we walk around and we say, nobody sees me. Nobody sees me. I hear it all the time in my practice. People don't see me. They don't understand me. They don't know who I am. They have an idea of who they think I am. And I
Mhm.
always ask them, well, what's the mask that you're wearing when you're around them? Is it a mask of I've got this all handled? Everything's good in my life? Is it a mask of I am a tragedy? What's the mask that you're wearing? And are you willing, able, capable of taking it off, of stripping that off? And most of the time, you need help with that. People don't even know who they are anymore. They've had those masks on for so long that the mask becomes their perception of who they are. And so all of a sudden you're living this life that really isn't yours. And that's really the real tragedy is, you know, taking away your own authenticity.
Mhm. And what would you say some of the masks that you see in a lot of your, excuse me, in a lot of your clients?
Well, really depends on the client. So
Mm.
let's go with corporate.
Yeah.
So corporate culture, corporate wellness um, is not what corporations think that it is. And it's not really what the wellness industry has been pushing on them. So, not their fault. But the tragedy of the mask that the corporation wears is that they wear a mask of we are for our community. We are for our employees. We are for our employees' families. That's the mask that they wear. We're for the product that we sell. But the truth of that, the authentic truth of that at this point is corporations are for the investors, the people who hold stock, the people who hold, a monetary interest in the company. The employees are second tier to that. The community is second tier to that. The product that they produce is second tier to that. And so they're wearing a mask saying that they're one thing. And then they believe that they're that thing that they keep saying that they are. But really, if you look at what they do, they're not taking care of their employees properly or their families or their communities. You know, they're taking care of the bottom line of a shareholder. And that has destroyed true capitalism because true capitalism isn't about investor. It's about, you know, supply and demand,
Mhm.
quality versus, quantity. I mean, we make something that is meant to last and people will run and buy it because it's so good. That's how it should be. That's how capitalism should be. Nowadays, it's like this plastic thing that's going to break in a couple days is 20 something dollars or, whatever. And it's just the quality versus the cost versus the quality of manufacturing, how they treat their employees. None of that is in alignment. It's a mask with regards to patients, right? So the masks of, say, an Olympic athlete, right? Is I've got this handled. I can do anything. I am, and they have to have that attitude when they're in the competition, when the run is on. But every other time, they need to be in a place where the mask is off. When they're training, the mask has to come off. If you get a little tinge of pain, you have to be willing to say, I've got a little tinge of pain here with this movement that I'm doing. Can you watch me? Can you see? It's got to be authentic, because we need to know truth. Because the more truth we know as a trainer and as a therapist, the more we can get that athlete ready for competition. And everything in a professional athlete's world, competition should be the easiest thing that they do. Everything else should be 10 times as hard in comparison. And in order for them to go there, they have to get authentic and real at where they're being stopped. So that's an area where people put on masks. Obviously, in companies and corporations and life and church and, politics, the masks are crazy. The media is wearing a mask right now. The mask is that we are reporting the news. And that's just not the truth. They're commentating on little segments and clips and putting their spin on that versus just saying, here's the news. Like one of my heroes back in the day, you may be a little young to remember who he was, but Walter Cronkite was the greatest probably newsman in history. And he's famous for saying, and that's the way it was. And he ended every episode with, and that's the way it was. And that's it. It wasn't commentary. It wasn't my opinion about how it was. It wasn't, any of that. It was reporting the news. So if the news would go back to a nonprofit status, which is what they were forced into before deregulation, they would have to report the news, right? Mm-hmm. And not have a take or a spin on it. But the incentive is that we need to pay for our sponsors, and our sponsors are the pharmaceutical companies, the agricultural companies, the fast food companies, the places that have such an agenda, and the agenda is not for the benefit of the people. And so if the agenda of the people paying for the news is not to benefit the people, then how is the news going to benefit the people? Truly. And so we've seen this play out in the last number of years, but that's a mask that people wear. Go to a conference. You've been to conferences before. There's 100 people in a room or a networking group, right? What is the mask that you put on?
Yeah, I feel a lot of people, they have this mask saying like they're so powerful, or come talk to me, or I can help you out with your business, quote unquote, whatever, that yada yada. And you can feel the fakeness, most of the time. So
yeah, I mean, there are masks everywhere. Mm-hmm. But when we can let go of that, when we can be vulnerable and real and authentic with people and calm and have a conversation like we're having right now, all of a sudden we begin to learn about each other. We begin to grow with each other. We begin to take on that knowing of who the other is without judgment, because we are being authentic, we're being true. We're not having that mask of hate, that mask of anger, the mask of rage, the mask of, the mask of emotion that we put on, the mask of trauma. Because all those emotions really just stem from trauma. Mm-hmm. So we put those on when we start taking them off, people get real. They see the humanness, and now you can't see the humanness in somebody, like the vulnerable humanness, and not recognize yourself in that. And if you can recognize yourself in somebody else's vulnerability, now all of a sudden you have a place to start. You have a common ground to begin, to where you can relate to somebody in a way that's excellent.
Yeah, most definitely. I think you make an amazing point, because I do realize that, especially when I was working in corporate, I was working as a financial advisor, I had to pretend to be someone I wasn't. And I feel like that also triggered me into thinking like the whole imposter syndrome. I was someone who I wasn't, and I feel like I lied to myself so much that I believed it, right? And that kind of sucks, because as someone who was like 21, wanting to be big, I already thought that I was already there. And I do realize from a lot of books and from a lot of studying that leadership comes from vulnerability as well, because when some leader is vulnerable, they're able to connect more, as you said. You're able to lead the people who need the help the most. So I feel like just taking that mask off, people already like you more. People already just want to learn from you and follow your leadership 20 times more than when you're trying to be almighty and all cocky and stuff like that. So I think you're making an amazing point. That's really relatable to me too.
Yeah, absolutely. The idea that people want to be in a relationship with your mask is just ridiculous. Our divorce rate shows that. We wear the mask through the dating process, right? The mask is on, the filters are on all the dating apps. But you see the humanity in somebody, the scar, the flaw, the whatever. Now the humanity is there, and you're like, okay, next we want that perfection again. We want that perfection again, right? You see it. It's not working. People are not happy. They're not happy. They're not happy with their relationships. They're not happy with work. They're not happy with their lives. And the biggest mask of all is the mask of illusion, that we are required to live in this mess and madness, and that we are powerless to shift it or change it. That's the biggest mask of all. That's the biggest illusion of all. Like, we made this stuff up. Everything, the furniture, the houses, the clothes, the money, the bridges, if it doesn't grow out of the ground, and even some of that we've kind of made up because we've genetically hybridized so much of what nature was. So we made this up. This is a figment of our imagination. This is an illusion. This is a mask that we've put on. And in this mask, we've decided to value money over human life. We've decided to value money over the environment. We've decided to value money over treating other people well, kindly. We've decided money over being a community and a society. We've decided money to become individuals and separate. So as we've looked at this creation that we've made, you look over my head, my podcast is called Create a New Tomorrow. And why did I call it that? My book is called A New Tomorrow. Why did I call it that? Because we made this up, and we can create a new tomorrow, and we can do it and start it today. We don't have to be married to this creation that is not functioning properly. It's not optimizing our lives. It's not making us better human beings. It's not making us better people. The technology is awesome, but hey, the technology is as you know, causing us to separate and then go within these, like protective bubbles that we have where we can abuse people with our belief system on a regular basis with impunity. I mean, what's that teaching us as a society? We can ghost people if they don't agree with us, or cancel culture, if they don't agree with us. We don't have to learn anything new. We don't have to do anything if we don't want to, right? Mm-hmm. But is that making us better human beings? In this amazing world we've created, where we've built land, islands in Dubai, we've built on the planet, we've moved to going to the moon, we're doing all this amazing things. Why aren't houses being built with sustainable products? Why aren't we moving off of fossil fuels? It's money. Has nothing to do with anything else. We could put millions of people to work on new technology that is sustainable, that helps the world, right? Mm-hmm. We could end all of this madness in a second if we so chose to. If we chose to collectively agree that we made this shit up and we can make it up better. You get what I'm saying? I mean, this is like the fundamental flaw of humanity, is we get married to our creation. We make a commitment to that, but we leave our spouse. We leave the company that we've been working for money, right? Baseball, I'll give you a story. I was a baseball fan. I played baseball growing up. I had an 80-mile-an-hour fastball in Little League. I was a good baseball player. I was living in Los Angeles. I watched the Dodgers all the time. Loved the Dodgers, right? Fernando Valenzuela, Steve Garvey, Gaylord, right? All these amazing athletes, Oral Hershiser. And then free agents came into town, and all these amazing players went to the Padres. Well, the Padres were the evil ones for LA. They were like the arch rivals. It was Dodgers, San Diego, Dodgers, San Diego. It was like, we have to beat the Padres. But now my two or three, favorite players are playing for the other team. I can't even get loyal about a team because the money makes the loyalty go. So it's no longer about, are you playing with your best team for you? It's, are you playing for the most money? And, we can debate whether that's a good thing or a bad thing all day long. But the point is that in my world, loyalty, commitment, honor, integrity, all these are things that are, fundamental, and all of which have been undermined by the creation that we consider to have value. I mean, what would it be like if we valued people the same way we valued money?
Yeah, it'd be such a different world.
It would be a little bit different. I think it would be a little bit more, less crappy. Maybe we'd have, block parties again, like we did back when, maybe people would actually get together and laugh and debate and talk and argue, and, and ideas would get thrown around and brainstormed, and new ideas would come up out of the madness of a discussion. I think podcasting,
Mhm.
I think this medium is one of the best mediums for true speech. I really hope that they don't start censoring these even more than they've already been. But, these conversations are a way in which people can hear differing opinions and have that be a civil situation. Because you see it on Facebook, you see it on the news, you see it everywhere else. Civil conversation doesn't happen anymore. It's all, I disagree with you, you disagree with me, so let's kill each other. Let's fight each other. Let's ban each other. Let's banish each other. Let's, make each other so wrong that there never is a possibility of anything that coming out of their mouth being accurate. We see this with Trump. We see it with Biden. Doesn't matter whose side you're on. Either side is so intolerant that they don't listen to what is true. And I'll give you an example. There's a lot of things that Trump did, really, really, really important stuff that was good for this country. Like he doubled down on child trafficking, women and child trafficking, human trafficking in general. He doubled down on it. Signed some really good bills. We put away a lot of offenders, right? Good thing that he did that nobody else had done up till then in quite that way. So can't we praise him for the good things he's done? And then obviously either, vilify or, shame or whatever for the stuff he didn't do well. I mean, we don't have to go that far either, but he's human. He has a belief system. His belief system is met by a big substantial part of a country. And we're sitting here vilifying him, which makes that side, the side, that's being vilified, the vitriol for them becomes even greater. Now the defense of this person becomes greater and greater, even than its value, because we're vilifying everything instead of saying, he's doing this, that's not good. He's doing this, that's good. He's doing this, that's not good. And this is why. And let's have a discussion about why that's not good. Let's have a clear and concise and long, not soundbite discussion about what it is that we don't like and what it is that we do and what our thoughts are. Even our debates, our political debates are filled with mask. The mask is, I have a soundbite that I've been practicing for an entire year, and I'm gonna lay that soundbite on you, regardless of what the question is. Have you noticed during the debates, they almost never answer the question?
Yeah, of course.
It's like, that's not debate. A debate is a very specific set of rules. The question gets asked, you answer the question. You don't, well, let me first say, I'd like to say this about a completely different subject. And and thank you, by the way, for asking that. And I still am never going to answer the question that I'm going to thank you for asking, because I'm going to talk about something else that I think is more important. Because I really just don't have an answer to that question. Like, come on. So why are humans falling for it? That's the question that I love asking. Tell me, why do you fall for it?
Me personally?
Yeah. What do you fall for and why? Have you ever analyzed, what do I fall for? Like, what ads make you go, I'm going to drool a little bit because I want to buy that thing that I'm watching the ad on? Or, what things do you buy into that are pure and total imagination that we've created?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, as an athlete, as someone who wants to be better, I feel like a lot of the sports companies, they have these athlete shoes or the clothes, like Gymshark or whatever, and you're just trying to be like them as well, right? You have that image.
Right. You wear Jordans, and now you're putting on the Jordan mask, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Interesting. But I also have a question, like, how does one really take off their mask, like what are some practical ways that they can take off their masks to live an excellent life?
Yeah. So first, you have to be willing to take off the mask with yourself
Mm-hmm.
before you're ever going to fully be able to strip yourself naked in front of somebody else. So I just want to put that out there because it's important. You have to be willing to stare yourself in the eyeballs and find who you are in your eyes. Most people I've met can't even look in a mirror for other than this superficial, right? Can't look at a mirror, at themselves in a mirror, in their eyes, without getting extremely anxious and uncomfortable. So I went through a pretty traumatic experience a couple years ago. And not to get into any details, but it was the beginning of separation and divorce. And I spent probably 300 plus hours in the last 2 years alone, let alone other points in my life, staring into a mirror, wailing and crying and bawling. And I would do that until I had nothing left. And then I would do it again the next day. And then I'd do it again the next day till I had nothing left. You know how uncomfortable that is? It's like first 5 minutes, you're like, oh, good, I got something out. I want to go away now. No, you got deeper to go. You got deeper to go. You got deeper to go. You got further to go. So I did that. About 300 plus hours of staring in the mirror until I could look in the mirror and find the person that I love. Not the person that was molested or raped. Not the person that was bullied or abused. Not the person that, had gold medals put on him for his work. Not any of the accolades I've gotten in my career. None of it. Because bare naked in a mirror, staring at yourself in the eyeballs is a hugely uncomfortable place to be. And if you could do that, when you go around other people, like your friends, you're going to find that their masks really annoy the frick out of you. You're going to find that the mask you used to put on around them doesn't fit anymore. You're going to find that when you go to work, that mask that you used to put on doesn't work anymore. That person that you were trying to be to compensate for all of the experiences of your life isn't going to be there anymore. Now you've got to create your new tomorrow. You got to create who you're going to be. Wouldn't it be better to reveal who you are versus create who you're going to be? You can create how you're going to be. Mm-hmm. There's definitely pieces of you that are going to be moldable more than, by the time you're 7 years old, when pretty much all of who you're going to be and how you're going to be has been placed in your brain and your heart. But You can bold. So what do you want to be? How do you want to live? Ask yourself these questions. This is for the audience, Ask yourself these questions. How do you want to live? How do you want to experience the world? Is my belief more important than the experience that I want to create? That's a really big one. Is my belief, which is all about perception and training and programming, is my belief more important than living the life I want to lead? I think everybody wants to lead a fairly peaceful life. Is my belief in racism adding or taking away from my want and need for peace in my life? Is my hate towards a group or a politician or a thing, is that going to add to the things that I want in my life, or is it going to take away from? If it's going to take away from, then shouldn't we examine those beliefs a little bit deeper and possibly the causality of those beliefs, just like we'd want to examine the causality of disease and illness? It's funny. People, again, get so married to their beliefs. I have been married to beliefs in the past. I still am, I am absolutely married to my belief that we made this shit up and we can do better. And I'm not backing down from that belief, but that belief drives my purpose forward. That piece of my ego pushes my purpose up instead of taking my purpose and pushing it down. Ego is not a horrible thing. It's just usually it's given the wrong order, the wrong value. Ego has to be just enough to push your purpose up, not enough that it's blocking that purpose. So, we look at those things, but question asking, always. Why did I have that thought? Why did I have that reaction? When was the first time I felt that reaction? If you're a parent and you have kids, you'll know this as well as I do. They can annoy the ever-living bejesus out of you. They do things that trigger you, and it seems as though they know all your buttons from the moment they fall out of the womb. They know your buttons, and they will push them and push them and push them and push them and push them. That's their job. So, as parents, we have a choice. We can either let them push the buttons to the point in which we become rageful, demanding dictators, right? Controlling what they believe, what they think, where they go, how they think in general. A lot of parents do that in order for them to feel more comfortable about themselves and their own beliefs. Or we can watch them, we can observe them, and we can learn from them. And we can ask, anytime we're getting a reaction, we can ask ourselves, why did I get that reaction? Is that him that's causing that reaction, or is it something else? When was the first time I felt that level of annoyance? When was the first time I felt that level of anger, that level of rage, that level of yada, yada? Now, mind you, I am a vulnerable person, right? I'm also a very emotional person. And so I've had a lot of trauma. I am not by any means necessary. I am not fixed. And I don't even believe in that terminology of being fixed. I am a work in progress, a work in process. I constantly, daily have to do this, and I slip. And I'm very well trained. So the other piece of this is take it easy on yourselves. Take it easy on yourselves. I know for me, I'm harder than anybody I think could ever possibly be to me. I'm harder than that on myself. We all have trolls these days. I am the biggest troll of all. No need for you to join in. I will troll myself more than you could ever troll me. So why don't you troll yourself? Why don't you be your own troll always? So that when you're talking, you're the one analyzing, is what I'm saying true? Is what I'm saying helpful? Is what I'm saying valuable in any way, shape, or form? If it's not, you might want to shut up. And I'm saying that just because you might want to shut up and ask yourself the question why that thought is popping in your head to begin with. You might want to shh and start listening to your inner thoughts. Write them down. Write down how you're feeling when you have that thought. What's the emotion going on with the thought that you're experiencing?
Yeah. I think those are such amazing questions that everyone needs to ask themselves. And it really will truly get them to know who they are, to reveal their true masks and take all of it off and just be naked. But I guess I do have one last question for you. It's a question that I ask all of my friends, all of my guests. Because we're called The Excellent Life, what is one tip that you would give someone with all this knowledge, all this experience? What would you give someone to live an excellent, happy, and blissful lifestyle?
Well, I was going to play on your egg-cellent and tell you to make frittatas on a regular basis for your family, because they always like that. It's happy times. Egg-cellent. So if you want to lead an egg-cellent life, then you must stop everything you're doing that is not excellent. So this is the most difficult thing in the world. It's not difficult so much to pick up new habits. It may seem like it, but it's really not. We pick up smoking habit pretty easily. We pick up, sex habit very easily. We could pick up the sugar habit very easily. Habits are easy to pick up. They're really, really hard to put down. And so what are you doing in your life that is not excellent? Who are you hanging out with that is not excellent for you? Who are you hanging out with that is excellent for you? And how often are you doing that? Because we are, as many people have said over the years, the sum total of the top 5 people we hang about with. So we got to up our level of people we're going to hang out with. We got to drop the victim, even if we are one. You don't drop being a victim, being somebody who is victimized. You drop the poor me about it, the energetic draw to get sympathy for it. That's not the same as empathy, and that's not the same as having somebody who needs you and you sitting with them and not trying to fix them and being okay being with them in their pain. That's not the same thing. But we tend to create victims out of ourselves in every situation, whether it's the guy who, you know, cut in front of me in a car. Hey, what are you doing to me? It's all about me, right? He's doing that to me. It's not that he's in a hurry, not that, may have an emergency, may have whatever is going on in their life, right? It's all about me. They shouldn't have done that to me. So we victimize ourselves with our thoughts. We got to get rid of that habit. The only way to get rid of that habit is to watch your thoughts. The only way to watch your thoughts is to stop and shh and listen. So, excellent life. Stop doing things that are not in your purpose. Make your purpose your life. Make your business your purpose, your life. Make your life your purpose, your business. Now you don't need balance anymore.
I love that.
Balance is a mistake. Seeking balance is a mistake. There is nowhere in life where balance occurs in any way, shape, or form other than on a teeter-totter, meaning back and forth, back and forth. We have a massive fire that clears the land, and then massive growth, and then massive fire. We don't have in nature, plants don't stop growing just because they feel like, hey, I'm 6 foot tall now. I'm good. Right?
Yeah.
They don't do that.
Okay.
So we need to stop this idea that we, can't teach an old dog new tricks, that we can't learn, that we can't grow. We need to create our purposeful life.
Yeah.
If everybody was living their purpose, would you want to go to work that day? Would you want to do what you're doing? Would you need money as an incentive, for instance? Not so much. I mean, money wasn't really an incentive for Bach or Beethoven or Leonardo da Vinci or Michelangelo or Benjamin Franklin. I mean, these are people who ruled the world. Thomas Edison, he didn't care about money. He was absolutely more than willing to spend all and everything he had and everything anybody else had in order to get that light bulb to work. Well, whatever happened to that? The only thing I could think of that ever happened to that is we started going to jobs and started instead of living our passions. And our jobs became more mundane and more isolated. It wasn't you're a shoemaker making every aspect of a shoe. It's you're a shoemaker and you just make the sole, and I make the frame, and you make the insole, and somebody else, and usually it's a machine now. So why do we have to actually care about what we're doing? We can just go mundane into zombie mode and go onto the assembly line and So we stopped living our purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to live an excellent life, and I like that excellent because an egg is the beginning of life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? An egg is probably one of the most pure forms of food and nutrition too.
That's true. Yeah.
It's the beginning of life. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, chicken can't come before an egg. Egg has to come first. Before the chicken egg, the chicken egg, it might have been, I don't know, part rooster, part something else. I mean, who knows what it was evolved from? But it was the egg. It was an excellent life. The egg is the beginning of birth. The egg is your idea. The egg is all those things that make what you're producing taste good, what you're creating taste good to you.
There we go. Yeah. The egg is the beginning. I love that so much. I didn't think about that, but I love that so much. Yeah. And yeah, where can people find you? Where can people find your podcasts and get coaching from you and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. Create a New Tomorrow podcast, and that's available on Stitcher, Red Circle, Radio Public, Spotify, Google, all those things. My website is achievehealthusa.com. Createanewtomorrow.com is the podcast website. And you can find me anywhere at any social media, Ari Gronich, because I am the only one that I know of in the world.
That's awesome. Being individual.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for sharing all this knowledge. Like, I feel like it's so important and everyone should know it.
Well, I appreciate you having me. And I look forward to hearing, how your audience responds and reacts. And, please, beyond just going to my show and listening to more stuff that I have to say, comment on this show, comment on The Eggcellent Life, and start a conversation, because to me that's the best part of doing these is the conversations and the things that come out of these conversations. So go check out The Eggcellent Life and comment and review and all that stuff for them. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I appreciate all you do to create a new tomorrow for yourself and those around you. If you'd like to take this information further and are interested in joining a community of like-minded people who are all passionate about activating their vision for a better world, go to the website createanewtomorrow.com and find out how you can be part of making a bigger difference. I have a gift for you just for checking it out, and look forward to seeing you take the leap and joining our private paid mastermind community. Until then, see you on the next episode.